Nadra, maybe you're sitting by the pool in Florida with a drink.
Yes. Okay. So, um, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Wendy Tietz. I'm joined by Tracy Miller from Franklin University. I'm from Kent State, and we're also joined by Jennifer Canis from University of South Florida. We were just commenting that Ohio wins the weather today. The other two are quite hot. This is the one time a year I get to gloat about our weather. So we are here to talk about our projects that we've created for CAT manufacturing. If you didn't know, CAT stands for Kent, Austin, and Tampa, where we're all from. So we're going to talk about CAT manufacturing today, which is the interactive dashboard projects. And just a reminder, this session is being recorded. So we're going to start by talking briefly about why do we have data analytics and introductory accounting? Because these projects are aimed directly at intro accounting, intro financial accounting, intro managerial accounting. First of all, accreditation. We know our accrediting bodies are asking for analytics. If we bring up analytics in the intro courses, that's the foundation for later courses. So it's not the first time a student has seen a visualization. It's not the first time they've heard about dashboards. It's not the first time they've had to answer questions using a chart. We have a rapidly changing accounting profession focusing much more on critical thinking and analytics than rote memory, so we need to get it into those introductory courses. The CPA and CMA exams also include analytics to various degrees. So these are all reasons that we're putting it in the intro course. And a big reason too that's not listed here is because the intro courses are like an advertisement for the profession. And if we keep showing intro accounting as debits and credits or adding things up, making sure they balance, we are doing the profession a disservice. We're not attracting the students that should be in because we're not showing the profession as it is. So we're inserting some real life skills into there. So um, now to the case that we're talking about. CAT Manufacturing is a fictitious company. It's based, though, on real life data from a global manufacturing conglomerate. So we took this real life data, we anonymized it, and there's over 7,000 records in each data set for Excel, Power BI, and Tableau. And then there's over 1,800 records in the data set for Google Sheets. Again, the three of us are presenting today, and these projects that we have are for Excel, Google Sheets, Power BI, and Tableau. So you choose which one or ones you'd like to use. The projects also come in two varieties. So not only do you have a choice of software, but you have a choice whether to give a student a pre-built dashboard to work with or have the student build the dashboard themselves. Of course, it makes a difference how long the project takes. The pre-builts are pretty quick because they just get the dashboard and they get to use it. The other ones, they have to actually construct it. So these projects, there's a total of 8 possible project assignments. There's 2 for Excel, 2 for Google Sheets, 2 for Power BI, and 2 for Tableau. So these projects, students have to download students have to download the data set. They use real software. This is preparing students for real life with these skills of using software and basic skills. A lot of students do struggle at the beginning with downloading files and then saving them and finding them once they've saved them. So we think these are good skills for students to get even with the pre-built projects. There are 2 versions of each data set, A and B. They're just different numbers. All these projects that we're going to talk about include step-by-step tutorial videos, so they're completely turnkey. Student guide, teaching notes, they assume no prior software knowledge, and then they can be completed in anywhere from 15 minutes for the pre-built projects up to 90 minutes, maybe for the Excel constructing projects. Okay, the pre-built dashboard learning objectives that students learn to describe a dashboard, define a slicer and filter, analyze data. The full ones, you learn to construct a dashboard, use several features of the software, and analyze data. What we're looking at right here is the Excel interactive dashboard. And at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Jennifer. She's going to talk about the dashboards in each of the software projects.
Awesome. Thanks, Wendy. So this is just a screenshot of one of the Excel interactive dashboards. You can kind of see that we've got different visualizations and different slicers that the students can, click on these slicers to interact with the data and answer key questions. So our pre-built dashboards, all they see is the dashboard, versus if they build it themselves, we're going to take you through some slides that show you kind of step by step what we have the students do if they're building their own dashboard. So do you want to advance the slide, Wendy? Awesome. So the Excel dashboards, the reason we start with Excel is because it's definitely a more familiar tool for most students, and it can easily be completed. Students often have access to Excel through their school for free. The project can be completed on either Windows or Excel for Macs. Wendy actually created the Excel portion of this project, and she did a wonderful job showing the students if there's certain functions that are slightly different in Mac, then she did a great job kind of pointing that out to students. So super helpful for students who, you can use it and not have to worry too much about, students that have different types of computers. It does assume, though, no prior knowledge of Excel. So even those students that have never used Excel before, have very limited, hands-on use of Excel prior to coming into your class, can still do these projects. And like Wendy was saying, we've got a little over 7,200 records in each of the data sets. Here's a little excerpt from section 1 tutorial video. So you're going to have the students actually build their own dashboards, then there's several sections to help them sections of the tutorial video. You can see it was 1 of 6. And that's really because we know that students, to give them one long video, it would have gotten too long. And if they needed to kind of stop and start, that might have been difficult for them. So for the Excel video, then it was broken into 6 different sections, so a student could maybe work on it a little bit and then pause if they needed to. So the first thing, kind of going back, Wendy does, when she's explaining how to get Excel, she reinforces with the students that they definitely need to make sure that their version is up to date. So lots of times, even if students get a version from their school, then they still need to go out and check for updates. They assume if they just downloaded a copy of Excel, it's the most recent version with all the updates, and that's not necessarily the case. So Wendy does give them instructions on using Microsoft 365 and making sure that it's up to date, even if they just recently downloaded it from their school. So then on the next slide, she also kind of reinforces they cannot use Excel online. They'll have problems if they use Excel online. I apologize about all the noise in the background. I don't know if you can hear that, but my dog is over here like scratching his back on my carpet. Sorry. It's a little distracting.
Hey, you're good, Jennifer. We can't hear it. So
okay, he's like snorting and making all
he's
making all these snorting noises. And I'm trying to hold a straight face, but it's really embarrassing. I would show you him on the video, but he's just like over here, like going to town on my car.
He's like a toddler.
I know we're recording this, but I'm just trying to keep a straight face. And anyway, sorry, I digress. I apologize. But anyway, so moving on. So then we kind of explain to the students the case learning objectives. So they're going to be creating and formatting pivot tables and charts, a very, very useful skill for our students, that even if they've had an introductory like computers and business course that we know a lot of students are required to take, maybe even before entering our classes, they really don't seem to get into these more advanced skills. So lots of times, even if they have, at least I found with my students, even if they think they have experience with Excel, they haven't been creating things like pivot tables and charts, creating slicers to filter the pivot table data. I can tell you my students definitely have not, by and large, done any of those types of skills. And then we show them how to build an interactive dashboard in Excel, with the keyword being interactive, that they can actually interact with the data, and then analyze the sales data and answer some questions using the dashboard. So we take them through the learning objectives, and then here's just, we'll go a little quickly through these slides, but here's just screenshots of what they'll see. They open it, they create the pivot table, and you can kind of see here in the green that aside from, as Wendy's kind of narrating this particular screen, then it's also kind of reinforcing and telling them what they need to do, so they can either listen or they can read. We also have annotated PDFs of all the slides so they can read as well. So as we have them kind of create their pivot tables, and then we're taking them step by step how to do that. And then the end product is we've got our pivot tables in our sheet here. We've created this new sheet. If you can kind of see at the bottom, we created this new sheet after the data. They opened up their data. They created this new sheet with different pivot tables, and now they've created their visualization. And we've got that slicer to the left where, for example, right now it's clicked on medical device. So a student can actually drill down with that slicer and interact with the data a little bit more than just looking at a static dashboard, which I think is definitely a skill that students need to develop today.
And again, this is just video 1 of 6. So this
Right.
is the step 1. We create this visualization. Then the next videos, we're going to create other visualizations, and finally
Right.
put it together in one dashboard.
Right. And how long would you say, because I'm sorry, Wendy, I don't remember, because I did this project probably a year ago. How long would you say each section, of 1 through 6, I mean, average time?
The videos themselves are about 5 minutes each, I guess. So probably 10 minutes each to do it, by the
Right.
time you watch the video and do it. So I tried to keep them short, and there's saving spots at the end of each one. So a student can do 5 or 10 minutes worth of work, save it, and come back and pick up at that spot. Because what I didn't want to do is have one giant project that would require sitting there for 2 hours to do, so.
Right.
Those have nice natural stopping points between. And the hardest project to do in terms of a dashboard is Excel, because other
For sure.
software is created to do this. So anyways, I digress. Back to you, Jennifer.
For sure. And I would say, and I can't remember on Power BI, Tracy, but I know that for the Tableau portion of the project, I believe I had a total of 3 sections to my video, as opposed to the 6 it took for Wendy's, because Excel is much more difficult to create some of these things. I mean, the students can definitely do it, but it's just more time consuming. It's just not, it doesn't lend itself as well as like Power BI or Tableau to do some of these things.
I agree about that.
But it's still really good skills to have in Excel. I always find
Oh,
myself
absolutely.
defending Excel here. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's a general purpose tool. The more specific tools are going to be easier, but sometimes Excel is all you have. And I think it's great
yeah.
to reinforce those basic Excel skills, regardless whether you would ultimately build this huge dashboard in Excel or not.
Yeah, and one of the things I noticed, so we just did, did kind of a series of these projects at the intensive data analytics workshop that was held just a couple of weeks ago. And, one of the things I think my students really enjoy, and we saw that with faculty who were doing these projects at the intensive, is seeing how each of the different softwares are different, right? There's pros and cons with each of these different softwares. And Wendy and Jennifer and Mind's goal has always been to develop technological agility in our students. We want them to feel comfortable in a multiple variety of softwares.
Right. Absolutely. Okay, we can go to the next slide. So here's just a screenshot of the completed Google Sheets interactive dashboard with all 4 dashboards once it was complete. We have a Google Sheets version of this project. I don't think Wendy mentioned this. We wouldn't necessarily recommend you assign this one, but students that have Chromebooks cannot run these softwares or even, handle doing, those Chromebooks cannot even handle using Excel to do these projects. So we like to have tools available for students that maybe don't have the technology or access to technology that they need. So the Google Sheets dashboards, obviously the technology requirements are the lowest, can be completed on a Chromebook. Again, assumes no prior knowledge of Google Sheets, but it only has about 1,800 records in that data set because that's about all Google Sheets can manage. So a nice option to have in your back pocket if a student comes to you and, doesn't have, I guess, a regular laptop. And I know at least at our school, they've taken out most of the computer labs now, so they don't even have access on campus to do some of these projects. Here's a screenshot, again, same data set, but here's a screenshot of an interactive dashboard using Power BI, maybe looking at some different data, but this is kind of what the finished product of Power BI would look like and how a student would interact. Looks kind of, fancier than Excel, but still you're, working with slicers and things like that, but some different visualizations. Power BI, the interface is similar to Excel, so it has kind of the same look and feel as Excel. Again, the project doesn't assume any prior knowledge of using Power BI before this. Same records in the data set. I guess one of the drawbacks of Power BI is it does only run on Windows computers. So that could be a drawback if you have a lot of students that tend to use Mac computers. I find my students, it's about 50-50. You do not have to register for Power BI, which is a plus, and it is built for visualizations. So using it is intuitive. And I think that the students, oftentimes I assign the Excel and then I might assign Power BI or Tableau. And after they've done the Excel, then they find Power BI or Tableau much easier to use to build the dashboards than they did with Excel. So it's a little bit more intuitive. And it's really being used a lot out there in practice. Sorry about that, Wendy. It's being used a lot more in practice because now it's being bundled with Microsoft, bundles it with their business software. So it's definitely you're seeing it being used a lot more in practice. I think the next slide is a picture of the Tableau interactive dashboard. So again, looks a little bit different than the other one, but different types of visualizations that you see here. So you can also assign the Tableau version of your project, and then the students can just click on, you're not using slicers in Tableau, but they literally can click on things like the years here, or they can click on revenue by category and click on materials processing, and it will just drill down to what the student is looking for to answer those questions. What's nice about Tableau is you can use it on a Windows or a Mac machine. You don't have to worry about it. The directions are still, they're the same using either operating system, which is really nice. It does assume no prior knowledge of Tableau. We're still using the same data set. Students, there's two ways to get Tableau, and this is all included in our instructor guide as to how to get access to these softwares. But students can either register and get a year license for free. They'll just be verified as a student at your university. It takes about a day. Or you as the professor, if you know you're assigning these projects in advance, then you can just contact the Tableau academic team and they will verify you as an instructor, and you can request class licenses. And after about a day, then they'll give you a class key that you can provide to your students, and it will be good for that semester. And again, Tableau is built for visualization, so it can be pretty intuitive to use. And I think with that, I'm turning it over to Tracy to kind of talk about some general teaching strategies for these projects.
That's right. Absolutely. Thank you, Jennifer. And I know Wendy posted in the chat box, we welcome your questions. We're definitely not ignoring you. So if you have questions, please post those questions. We're going to leave some time at the end to have some questions. So now let's talk about general teaching strategy, how we're using these projects in our courses. Again, we developed these projects so that your students have no prior knowledge. So if they have experience with Excel or Tableau or Power BI, that's great, but there's no expectation that they have any prior knowledge needed. And that's because we provide those very step-by-step instructions. And we like to say, therefore, instructors and students, because we recognize that you as an instructor may have very limited experience in Tableau or Power BI. And so we want to provide you hands-on experience also, so that you can become familiar with the project yourself. So our general teaching strategy is that we want to provide you with all the resources you need, and also your students with all the resources. So what do you get when you use these interactive dashboard projects? Well, basically you get a turnkey solution that provides everything you need to successfully deploy the project. You'll get a project student guide. In that student guide, as Jennifer mentioned earlier, you get information about how to download the software. As an instructor, you're going to get multiple data sets. There's 16 different versions of the data sets. So you can use different data sets for different sections and different semesters. Of course, those step-by-step tutorial videos that are all fully closed captioned, scripted tutorial video slides. Sometimes my students, instead of watching the video, they just want to look at the PDF document that has the screenshots and the scripted notes, and so they'll go through it that way. We also give you some discussion questions that you can use either in a discussion board or on, in wrap up after the students go through it. Grading rubrics for if you're going to be grading the project, multiple choice questions for each dashboard and also for each data set, solutions files, selected check figures, and then we also include an optional video assignment. Jennifer has her students do the project, and then they do a video assignment where they have to make a presentation about the dashboard and answer some higher level thinking, critical thinking questions about that dashboard. And so that's an optional assignment that you may be interested in. Now, let me show you in detail what the instructor guide looks like. The instructor guide is there's a lot of pages to it because it contains everything you need about these projects. And so it's sometimes hard to find what you're looking for. And so the easiest way to find what you're looking for is to click on the View tab and then click on the navigation pane. We have set the document up with headings that you'll be able to go directly into the area that you want to go to. So you'll see that in the instructor guide, it includes each dashboard project that will be located in that heading area. So you can go to the project that you want to navigate to. So you can see here's an example of the Excel dashboard case. It's got the overview, learning objectives, resources, the student handout, the files, the links for the tutorial videos, the multiple choice questions, that optional video assignment, and then we also give you some teaching tips there. So then let's look at all those resources that are available in that instructor guide. So you see those on the screen there. Everything's included there, and also, of course, some additional information. Now let's talk about how we deliver these in our courses. So Wendy, Jennifer, and I teach, well, really, I teach in a very different environment than Wendy and Jennifer teach in. So currently here at Austin Community College, moving to Franklin University in about a month. But my teaching size of my classes will stay about the same, which is about 24 students or so. So I have small classes. I assign these as homework. I have the students do everything outside of class. Actually, all I do in class is just give them a heads up that we're going to be working on a data analytics project. If this is the first of our project, I talk about why it's so important that we're doing data analytics in the introductory class, and then I just set them off on their own to work through the project. Then what I do is I go through at the end of it, and after they've submitted it, I have my students submit the project, and I grade the project for completeness. And then I also load multiple choice questions into a course management system. If you use our textbooks through Pearson, those questions are already loaded into the MyLab. If you don't use our textbook, you can load those questions into your course management system like Blackboard. So my students answer the multiple choice questions, and then after they've submitted it, then we'll spend some time talking about it in class. Wendy and Jennifer, I'm going to let one of you talk about how you use it in your classes, because Wendy and Jennifer have these massive classes, like, I don't know, 1 million students in them or something. So
I think it's similar, and we're running down to our last few minutes. So I think Jennifer and I use it in similar ways. Jennifer has a TA, so she uses more of the video component. I use all multiple choice questions, right? So, Tracy, I'm going to let you go back to this because we do have a couple questions we need to get to.
Yeah,
So-
so there's the link to request the instructor guide for our CAT dashboard projects. And then let's go through the questions.
Okay. Do you want to?
Yeah, let's see. So the first question that we have is, do you recommend teams or individual projects? And also, at what point in the semester would you recommend deploying these projects? So Jennifer and Wendy?
Jennifer, you answer that one. I'm answering the next
Sure.
one.
Sure. I actually assign these individually outside of class. Now, I realize that the students may kind of work together, I guess, to kind of get help and help each other. To me, that's not necessarily a bad thing. These projects, when I assign them, they're a small percentage of their grade, maybe 2 or 3 percentage points of their overall grade. I really want them to have a successful first experience. So I encourage the students, I tell them I realize they're going to work together. But I don't want someone doing the projects for everybody, right? I want them to just feel like they can try it, be successful at it. And then they do have to do their own videos. And I require them to introduce themselves and give me their student ID number. So, if they had somebody construct the whole dashboard for themselves and then tried to talk about it in a video, I don't think that would go very well. So, I just encourage them. They can do it. It's not that big a deal. I usually give them several weeks in advance. I probably give them 4 weeks where I announce the project. They do it outside of class, but they've got about a month to get it done. So there's no reason they can't get it done, be successful. So that's how I handle it.
Yeah, and I think students are excited about learning to use the software, especially about Tableau and Power BI, because they might have heard about it, maybe not ever touched it before. And I think they know that they're hearing a lot about analytics, and this is something good for them. So I think I don't worry as much about the cheating, and if I do have a couple work together, so be it. I assign them individually, but that's I think it really goes pretty well. I'm going to handle the next question as we get down to our final minute. Is there a big difference between the Jubilee case and the CAT case? So the Jubilee case that I wrote, I assume we're talking about the interactive dashboard Jubilee case. I have a couple Jubilee cases in case you know Jubilee is my cat. But Jubilee interactive dashboard case is similar to the Excel one. A lot of the same skills, but the Jubilee case is just Excel, if I remember correctly. I don't think I have Google Sheets with that one, but there is no Tableau and no Power BI with that one. So that is only Excel. And this project, CAT Manufacturing, has a lot more resources. I may not have all the different data sets and everything with Jubilee. So CAT Manufacturing, more well-developed, but Jubilee is still a good case. I use it myself. Okay, so Jennifer, what's your dog's name?
His name is Bentley, and he's actually my grand puppy, but I guess we need to do a Bentley case on the side.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So I think we're at the end of our 30 minutes. I want to thank everyone for joining us. We have more webinars coming up. Feel free to attend. We have different cases. We have a lot of cases on our site. So
and they're all free.
So
I don't know if we said that.
Yes.
Hopefully everybody knows that, but everything's free.
Yeah, there's no charge for any.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just wanted to point out, Jennifer's made a comment that says that she is going to do this in an intro to data analytics class. And certainly we design these projects for introductory accounting, but we have had faculty use these projects in a lot of different courses. So, I think Jennifer, in an intro course, they would be perfect. I know I use some of our projects in our accounting data analytics class towards the beginning of the semester. So absolutely, feel free to use them as you would like to.
Okay, thank you, everyone. I hope you have a great day.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
joining us.